Oh god, what have I done? Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. It does have quite a nice world, but it's still that Zelda thing of just like, it's a big open space that has the illusion of being a big open space. There's a few chests, there's a few bugs, there's some enemies to fight. There's some puzzles to be solved, like that one right out in front of the southern entrance to Castle Town that was kinda neat, but still just a lot of open space that's not that useful. But, you know, it's open and varied. The dungeons are... oh, that chip. It's fucking me up. I think I'm good. Yeah, like the dungeons, I think are super neat, and are definitely the highlight of this game. Just because they're the usual sort of ideas. They have enough of a spin on them that I quite like them. Like the Forest Temple is kind of wind-based. It's a giant tree. I think it's a couple of giant trees. The fire dungeon was instead a mine, where they had different bits of technology, and the Iron Boots had a unique use for them in that area, and then a bit later on in the game too. The level design was varied enough that it was enjoyable. I didn't find myself getting bored because of the areas at all. Let me find the rest of them so I can make sure I'm not missing something. But yeah, like the Arbiter's grounds were cool. Snow Peak. Snow Peak? Was that its name? Yeah, Snow Peak Ruins. That place was kind of cool, even if it was just, make me soup! But then you had soup. That's great. Lake Bed Temple was kind of neat. It was, I think it was a bit more standard, but it also had the usage of water throughout that was quite nice. The city in the sky was visually quite great. And the Uka are certainly weird enough that it provides a nice change of pace. Temple of Time. Is the Temple of Time the lowest point of the dungeons? It might be. Because it's kind of just a very standard temple thing. I do like controlling the statues. The Rod of Dominion's quite cool. Especially because the statue fucking breaks down gates, has massive attack hitboxes, protects Link from traps, like it's... Even that place being the lowest point of the dungeons, I think. Look quite good. But the Palace of Twilight reuses a lot of shit. I think there's maybe 4 enemies in that thing. But it also doesn't overstay its welcome. And getting to see the Realm of Twilight, I think, is a really good idea for this game. Because they could have just hinted towards it the whole time and then been like, oh, you don't get to see it. What does it look like? You'll never know. And then Hyrule Castle. I think Hyrule Castle is really good at showing the sort of sense of scale of the game. Because it is a big, grand, ornate place. That's good. I like that. The game still suffers from every Zelda game's problem of just like, oh, what do you explore? What do you find? Bit of money you don't need. Some arrows that you're already maxed out on. Some bombs that you barely have to use in this fucking game. Yeah, it's weird. You barely use the bombs in this game. They do not get used much. Yeah, no, World... I think World's good. It is at least of a Zelda quality. And they have enough unique ideas and stuff that I'm a fan. I like it. Story-wise, I don't think I like this game's story more than Wind Waker, but that is a lot of nostalgia talking. Because Wind Waker's story is mostly just, like, fucking that dialogue from Ganon at the end, and just like, ah, child, I will destroy the world above by bringing back the world below. No. I like this game having Midna allows it to have... It allows it to actually have cutscenes and dialogue and stuff. Because it's not Link talking. And Zant, for like 3/4 of the game, seems like a fairly cool antagonist. Like, I quite like Zant. And then they just reveal him to be a fucking clown. And it just kind of ruins him for me. But up until then, Zant's great. And this Ganondorf, he's probably my least favorite of the Ganondorfs that I know of. That's kind of just because I like Wind Waker so much more. And Ocarina of Time's Ganondorf is great in Smash. And I just think it's a really good design, visually. Yeah, like, I think for a more involved story, I think I quite enjoy this one. It's got some good stuff to it. It's kind of just there. It's there, it's got characters, it's got things happening, it keeps you interested. Keeps you moving. Provides the reasoning for the player doing all the things they do. That's really all it needs to be. Character-wise, Zelda's a plank of wood. Ganondorf is there for most of the game, hiding behind Zant. Zant is good for most of the game. Midna's great. The NPCs, I think because of the, like, kind of realistic but still slightly cartoony art style, have some nice visual design that keep them unique from one another. Because even a lot of the Gorons feel quite unique from one another. And I like that. It's good. The Zora have, like, 2 unique characters. And then it's all just, the same guard model. Eh. So, like, it's still a Zelda problem of, like, these characters don't feel like real characters outside of the few main ones. And even on the main ones, again, Ganondorf is barely in the game. Zelda is a plank of wood. So it's very, very functional. Then Midna is great. There's an actual relationship that develops between Link and Midna. At first she's all fucking hoity-toity and snide to him, but then over the game, you know, she starts to connect with him. And she likes her little wolf that she rides around on. Gameplay-wise, I think outside of the Arbiter ground item, which is the stupid fucking spinning top, I think the game has fairly good items, and it does good things with the usual Zelda fare. The bow is still the bow, but that's because it's the bow. You can do bomb arrows. Hey. The bomb gains some extra utility by being able to be used underground if you buy those. I should find out what those other 2 items in the inventory are, because I have no clue. Items in Twilight Princess. Here we go. Oh, the Ghost Lantern was not a thing in the original. Huh. Yeah, no, the items are good. Right, I was figuring out what the last few items were. Okay, so Uko Jr. you get from that. Coral Earring. Various upgrades, collectible items, bottle items, dungeon items, quest items. What the fuck fill up those last few bits of the inventory? Bombling? So, as an item? Excuse me? Oh, they're basically bomb juice. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what those last few items are. There's something. They don't seem to be in the list here at all. Weird. You know, the items are good. Double hook shot is cool to the 8-year-old in my head. Gale Boomerang is a nice twist on the regular boomerang. Gives it some extra utility. A lot of the times, the extra utility isn't that present, and it changes the switches you hit from regular switches to wind switches, when you still have the regular switches. The slingshot becomes useless once you get the bow. And even shortly after you get the slingshot, it's kind of useless. The fishing rod exists for fishing. I don't ever care about fishing, though, so no surprise that doesn't get much use. The Hawkeye's cool. And even just like the addition of the wolf stuff is neat enough, even if it boils down to slightly different combat. Auto-scrolling sections where you just mash A to jump along stuff. But, you know, it diversifies the gameplay enough on a somewhat surface level that I'm happy with. I like it. It is a neat gimmick. That is why it is not in any of their games. What else was I thinking of? Oh, right, yeah, the hidden skills. Hidden skills are cool. I like the addition of Link actually getting new stuff as the game goes on, added to his arsenal. The ending blow is useful and does good damage. The parry isn't a parry? It's really not a parry. You can parry projectiles, but you mostly just... It's a shield bash. Not a parry. Backslice is just a thing from Wind Waker, which... Cool. Well, that's still in his arsenal. Helm Splitter... I don't think I ever really used. Mortal Draw's kind of good, but enemies can block it, so it feels pointless, but it would also be very overpowered if it wasn't. Jump Strike is nice if it hits. It's just some good range, some extra hits, some extra damage. And then the Great Spin, which trivializes most fights. Kinda silly. Oh. When you absorb the soul into the Master Sword, it gains extra range. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think this game is quite a good... It almost feels like a sort of logical conclusion to the Ocarina of Time gameplay style. But at the same time, then you have Skyward Sword, where they keep doing this same gameplay style. And I don't know why they do. Well, I do know why they do. It's called money. And oh boy, did they get a lot of it. But yeah, gameplay-wise, I like this game. Believe me, Dago. It would be, but Zelda in this game is so bad that she drags it down in such a way that Midna can't carry. And also just Ganondorf doesn't have as much to him as Wind Waker, so can't be 10 out of 10. Midna's a 10 out of 10, I'll tell you that much. And yes, that is my penis talking. But you know, gameplay, it's satisfying. It's not difficult. I'm trying to think, did I ever need a fairy? Maybe? Maybe when I had like 3 hearts? After that, difficulty drops way down. And there's occasionally just things where it's hard to know what this game wants you to do. Like the hook shot in the stairs. Or the paintings that you have to shoot down when it has never suggested that that was possible. I don't know. I like the music, though. Music's quite good. I've heard a lot of the music in this game in other things. So I recognize more of it than I usually do for a game, much less a Zelda game. Like, Snow Peak Ruins song is unique and interesting. The Twilight music is all strange and weird, and I appreciate that. Got good sound design. I like it. Lengthwise, I think the game is, like, quite long for a Zelda game, and it's got, like, a lot of locations and a lot of things to it. I think it does a quite good job at staying interesting through good pacing. Good pacing and dungeon design, I think. Because, like, even by the point of City in the Sky, I still wasn't bored of the game. The Twilight Palace kind of drags a little, but that's more because of the reuse of enemies and puzzles and stuff than any specific problem with the rest of the game. It's mostly just sort of reuse of things that makes that place a bit boring. Even like the final dungeon's not too boring. It stays surprisingly brief for what it is and for how large it is. I mean, I think like pacing wise, it's quite good. I liked it. I think it's quite good on its length. Jank wise, there was a fair bit of jank, which is kind of to be expected of a sort of more recent title, because as things get more complex, there's gonna be weird shit. But none of the jank really took away from the experience. I still enjoy the game a lot. And if anything, some of the jank was funny to me, and I enjoyed it. Maybe it added to the experience, who knows? I think like the only jank that would have gotten in the way is just like certain areas not being designed for certain combat moves. So you try to use the combat move there, and you just completely whiff because it has to. Link's not just going to go through a wall to make sure that something lands. So that's more maybe a problem of using the wrong move at the wrong time. The game still has that level of Nintendo polish that one comes to expect from these things. And I think the worst thing that you can say about this is that it's not challenging. Yeah, no, jank was, I never remember what I do for jank. If, like, a lot of jank is a 10 out of 10, if bad jank is a 10 out of 10, if good jank is a 10 out of 10, if no jank is what you want, I never remember. But, like, I don't know. The jank was... it was there. It was there. It was noticeable. It was kind of funny. I don't think it fucked me over at all. And no DLC. But all in all, Twilight Princess was a good game. It was an enjoyable, fun game. I liked playing it. And I'm glad I did. But I think that I wouldn't enjoy it nearly as much on a replay. Meanwhile, Ocarina of Time, I still enjoy it when I replay through it. Wind Waker, still enjoy it when I go through it again. Majora's Mask, I don't know. Would I enjoy Majora's Mask on a replay? I think I might enjoy Majora's Mask more on a replay because I'm aware of the bullshit in that game, and I could at least plan ahead for it. I could look into things. I think that's a big thing with that one. This one, I don't know. I think a one and done for Twilight Princess is perfectly fine. I think I'm happy with that. I don't think I need to play this game again. I don't think I would necessarily want to play it again. Thinking about the hidden extra content in this game does not make me want to play it again. Like finding the bugs, doing the star minigame, finding the pose. It doesn't really have that interesting of side content. Meanwhile, like Breath of the Wild, for example, which does have many years of, you know, advancements on it. I like Breath of the Wild. I enjoy playing Breath of the Wild. I'm perfectly fine with spending 200 hours just running around Hyrule doing random shit. I think it's like a good movie with a good twist. You watch it once. Actually, no, because good movies with good twists usually foreshadow the twist coming, so you can watch it again and be like, ah, they fucking hinted at that the whole time. This game doesn't do that. This game is a movie that I'm content with just watching once and then moving on with my life. Don't need to play it again. I'm glad I did. Solid 8 or so out of 10. Not much replay value, though. But for something like this, that's perfectly fine. Either way, I think that'll about do it for me. It's getting a bit late. I've got some things I want to do before I head to bed. Glad I finished this, though. Next time, unless I'm mistaken, we get to move on to a much worse-looking game. Because way back when the DS came out, so many fucking series were like, oh shit, gotta get that handheld money. And Nintendo, making a handheld system themselves, was no stranger to that. So they made the sequel to Wind Waker for the Nintendo DS. Because who doesn't want the sequel to a game that looks fucking great to look like shit? The next one will be The Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass. For more sailing, more boat. More cel-shady Link, but this time it's not cel-shady, it's just a fucking crappy DS model. And from what I know of that game, Link and Tetra get teleported to an alternate dimension where the world's still a giant ocean or something? I don't know a damn thing about fucking Phantom Hourglass. That'll be interesting to play. You get to draw on the bottom screen to make boat paths to sail on or something. I don't know. Touch gimmick. Hey. Yeah, that'll be for next time. I'll have to make sure I get that all set up and working. But that'll be it for today. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Have a good one. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.